Oh, hello. Welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories most creepy and most pasta. Today we've got Jeff the Killer. So, for those just joining, CreepyPasta is the internet's equivalent of campfire stories, the spooky ones. They're stories that are copied and pasted across the internet and have, as such, gotten the nickname CopyPasta, and the creepy ones are called CreepyPasta, respectively. So, Jeff the Killer. I reread it, and...
Now, reread, or
well,
someone read it?
Okay, I re-listened to it at Mr. CreepyPasta, the YouTube channel. Awesome, by the way. And it kind of holds up a little bit, but the writing, you can like the way the story is written is kind of very poor. But the idea is the idea is kind of interesting, but it's also kind of been done before.
The idea isn't bad. It needs edits. It needs a draft.
Oh yeah, this was the first. It definitely felt like a first draft.
Yeah, and it really should have gone through a draft process. I mean, even just once would have cleaned it up a lot.
Yeah.
Just the way it starts and it's like a freaking news report.
Yeah. Oh, before we go into that, if you haven't read Jeff the Killer and you want to, go to creepypasta.wiki or just Google Jeff the Killer CreepyPasta, or go to the YouTube channel Mr. CreepyPasta to listen to it with awesome audio and whatnot. And yeah, we'll wait. Okay, we're back, and so now that's out of the way. So yeah, it starts off as a news report of this guy who breaks into a house and then gets a child's eyewitness that is obviously, or a little too sophisticated for a child's eyewitness. I thought.
I mean, it depends on the age of the child. I don't think it was...
I think it was like 11-year-old, wasn't it?
I don't know that it was actually... Yeah, I've got young boy.
Oh my god.
That's the best I've got. So, I mean, it depends on the age, but it's just... Yeah. My problem isn't with that. My problem is with the complete, just non sequitur from to the origin story that is for the killer that the news report from the start
the
origin
is about. The origin story should have been first and then...
Oh no, it just should have a transition, because you've got two very different parts. I mean, I have no problem with, like, here's a little tease, okay, now let's rewind and show you how it all got started. That's fine, that's so common, more in movies than with books, but I've read it. I've read the same little formula before, and it usually works, but you gotta say, like, look, hey, this is back before.
Yeah.
You
gotta just, like, sometime in the past or something, like some kind of sequitur to transit or a connection between the present and the past.
Yeah, you've gotta, like, let the reader know what's going on, because I mean, I don't know, I can't remember a couple of paragraphs in before I'm like, oh, okay, he's doing that rewind thing. Okay, so, geez, should I reread what I just... Screw it, let's get this over with. Yeah. So, like, right there, I'm just pissed off.
Yeah. And immersion broken.
Yeah. What could have worked to heighten the immersion really just broke it.
Yeah.
And that right there was just like, you irked me, and
Now you're just pissed off about
now
the
you
story.
gotta get me back, and that's harder to do. It's way harder to get a reader back than to keep them from the get-go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, doing something like that, I mean, it would have been caught if he'd have had someone who wasn't him read it and give him feedback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like if they'd taken
if
this
he'd
and
handed this to someone else and say, you know, like, look, I'm going to post this. What do you think?
they would have gotten a lot of stuff like fixed. That is obviously wrong with the pro.
That would have been like, whoa, what are you doing? This actually is. I've actually been sitting on this since
Candle Cove, I think.
Since before Candle
Oh.
Cove. Since I first read, because for our listeners, I read this one before we even recorded the first episode.
Oh, Jesus.
So I've been sitting on this because this is the one that really is the best example of it, or the most obvious example. But writing is a vain project. It's a vanity project all along.
Yeah.
And you've got to let that go. Like when you write when you write it the first time any story, you be as vain as possible. You throw every little thing you want in there. You know, you don't have to worry about it necessarily making sense all the way through. But then you draft, and I understand the nature of these drafts really seem like a waste of time or just not part of the process, but you're still putting a story into Word, so I think it should still be done.
Yeah.
And in that second draft, that's where you tell your ego to sit down, shut up, and you
grow
cut
some
things, and you make things make sense, and, you know...
Or if you can't, somebody else do.
Things in,
somebody else to do it.
Well, and sometimes, like with this, he knew where the break was between past and, well, the news report and the actual, really, the meat of the story. He knew where that was in his head. He didn't need a placeholder. He didn't need a transition. But I'm not in his head.
Yeah, exactly.
No reader is in his head. So that's when you start putting stuff like that in. And... I've just been seeing this in all of the CreepyPasta I've read so far, but this was really the one that just stood out. Like, okay, you people really need to set your ego aside, not necessarily go for, that one thing that make a cohesive story.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm asking too much from the medium. I don't think so. It's not a difficult thing to do. It's not even. It won't even lengthen the process that long. And honestly, some polish can only help.
Yeah.
You can get to the point where a little too much polish, and you have something so bland and generic. It might as well be wheat toast. But at the same time, a little bit is way better than none.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my little tirade.
This has been a tirade by Leviathan. No, it's fine. It's I understand, because even re-listening to it, the frustration of some of the things that were going on in the story is just that shouldn't have been written like that, or what have you. But
yeah,
I let it go because. One, I was in a hurry to finish to re-listen to this or to reread it, and the other one was I kind of like the story, or at least the idea of it, even if it is kind of a copy.
I get it. The idea is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Honestly, spoiler alert, it's basically just the birth of a serial killer, or some sort of mass murderer.
Yeah,
because
some psychotic killer,
various shapes and sizes, and. It's pretty good for that.
Yeah. It builds up, too. It's not just, boom, the incident happens and he's that. There's a build-up before that to give you a little bit more...
And there's a hint of, always... like this
There's some
was
tug.
always there in the back of his head, nagging,
and he ignored it for so long, and then there's a couple of outbursts, and then some consequences because of that, and then the big incident happens.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go back into that, edit thing throughout this whole discussion, but because there are a couple of things that just irked me.
So so there's the newspaper article with the kid, and about how Jeff, or this assailant, breaks into his house, is about to stab him. He fights back. His dad comes through with a shotgun, already in hand. So, and which I kind of like. It kind of like, what? Wow, that was quick response, but and then
well, we'll
get. We've already had our the first tirade, so yeah, and then he escapes through the back window, and the details are just there's a little bit more detail than I would have expected from if there was going to be a kid eyewitness kind of account, but then again,
it's also trying to set up the rest of the story.
Yeah.
So that's, in my opinion, kind of where a lot of I genuinely don't think there is too much information. It's just, I hear you, but I'm disregarding you.
Okay.
You do bring up a valid point, because, I mean, eyewitness
he shoots the shotgun, the assailant ducks, throws the knife what did he? It's in the first couple of paragraphs. I think
it's just like his dad busted in. The man threw the knife. It went to my dad's shoulder.
Okay,
that was it.
Huh. All right.
It really was very quick, simple.
Fair enough. All right. Maybe I'm. All right. But yeah, so he escapes, and the kid is just like, I'll never forget his face. And what have you, and then non sequitur, boom, we're in the past.
Yeah, just
where it's Jeff and his brother Luke. Is it Luke or Lou?
I'm pretty sure it's Lou.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Keep going.
Okay. Yeah. So. And they're moving to a new place, starting fresh. Yeah. And their parents get invited, or them and their parents get invited to a birthday party with some kid next door. Jeff's not really thrilled about it, but he kind of just takes it as it is. And then we fast forward a little bit more to them waiting on a bench to get to the bus when we encounter the adversaries, which are this kid. What the hell is his name? It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
it's
really three punk kids.
Bullies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very Stephen King in this.
Yeah. They confront the two brothers, threaten them with knives if they don't give them their money for the bus fare. And then that's the first incident, is that Jeff kind of loses a little bit of his control over his other side, and just
he
fights. It just beats these guys.
Dummies them. It's
punches the one guy in the nose, stabs the other one in the arm, and then punches the other guy, the fat guy, in the gut. Renders them, takes them down, and then they see the bus coming, and they know they feel they're going to get caught, so they run. And of course, the guys on the victims, in quotes, pawn it off that they attacked first.
Yeah.
And so when they get home,
completely unsolicited.
Yeah, exactly. Even though there's
attack.
And then they get home, and the next day, the cops show up, accusing them of being the perpetrators, and Lou takes the bullet by saying that he's the one that instigated the fight, despite Jeff's protests, and Jeff is just powerless to stop his brother from going to juvie. Why are you laughing?
Just because of, okay, this is rule number 2 with writing, I guess, right after drafts, edits and such. Write what you know.
Yeah.
Or know what you write. If you don't know about the judiciary system, the criminal law, don't write about it. Or if you're going to, if you have to, do some research, because, this is written by someone with no experience, and it's insulting to one's intelligence, in my opinion. Now, that's, probably because, this is written by someone, half my age.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know what? It's a lack of experience, but it just, wow. Because it's
just boom, boom.
Most people would say that, that my friend the cultist here just kind of, glossed over the the main points. No, that's pretty much how fast it goes.
Yeah.
Is, bam, they have to fight. Bam, the
next
the
day
cops come.
It almost kind of felt like a movie in some respects. They just
the next day the cops come.
Yeah.
Don't you I'm pretty sure these kids had a pretty good idea of who these, the bullies had a pretty good idea of who kicked their ass.
And they weren't beaten into a coma or anything, or into unconsciousness.
So yeah, it's just kind of a whoa. That took a while, but whatever. Maybe there were just too many donuts in the office that day. They had to wait till the next day to get down to actual police work.
Yeah. Chief Quimby wasn't going to happen.
And then, it's just no, it was me. No, it was actually me. It's okay, well,
put the
first
knife
off,
down.
weren't the bullies saying it was both of you?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was actually the case, because I read this a couple of weeks ago, and
I believe...
but regardless of that, and then... But even though, okay, so the bullies didn't know their names, because they're new kids, that makes sense, but... So even if the bullies were just saying, oh, it was one of them, not both of them, you've still got disagreement, because both of the brothers are saying, no, it was actually me.
Yeah.
So, they're not just going to take one away. They're going to sit down and sort this out.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm pretty sure of with most... I don't have an age for these kids, but they're pretty close.
Yeah, it never actually mentions the ages, I don't think, for these.
So, but when if they were to just be, questioned by a cop, not in hardcore interrogation, in the face. I mean,
good cop,
just
bad
a guy
cop,
in a uniform asking questions. They're gonna break. One of them will.
Yeah.
Maybe not the, future psychopath, but the other one would easily break and be like, no, it was this way, not this way.
And then the story... And then
bam!
They were defenders, not...
But, no, it's nope, okay, it was him, and okay, Lou comes out with the knife. That's kind of, there's a certain amount of grounds there, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
And this is honestly my second favorite part in the whole whole story to hate is, bam, he's off to juvie.
Yeah.
Young offenders, at least in every, region, country that I know of, that I have any knowledge for, young offenders still get, trial.
Yeah.
They still have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt that they're the criminals.
Yeah.
So, it's just bam, okay, it was you, because you said it was. That's laughable. Yeah. But then it's bam, he's in juvie. What? Did we just flash through time again?
And not even with, a couple of days of...
No.
It's
I got the feeling that the cop took him in the back of the squad car, drove him to juvie.
Yeah. Because later, right after this, 2 days have passed, and they're still moping around about the whole incident and whatnot, and then It's the birthday party, Jeff. Time to go across the road. And it's like, really, Mom? It's like after what just happened with, and then ... And it's like, oh, we all know what happened, Jeff. Let's just get dressed and get ready and let's go.
Yeah,
it's
like the parents are
Jesus.
like really just okay with, well, my son's a sociopath.
Let's go to a birthday party,
Glad
kids.
you're taking this okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people would,
denial,
question
maybe?
where they went wrong and,
Yeah.
Wonder what's wrong with my baby boy. Like, just something.
Yeah, there was like not even like it's like he's gone to juvie. There's no like they haven't visited him in mind you, it's been 2 days, but like there would have been some more activity going around the house.
No one's calling a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. It was just that was kind of laughable if you think about it.
Kind of laughable. It was a lull moment for me.
Okay.
And,
see, I myself don't know the judicial. Oh, wow, that was horrible.
Judiciary.
Judiciary.
Still got it wrong.
The law. The law.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Yeah, so I don't know like the rules about all that stuff, except for
he got it wrong.
Oh yeah, like there should have been a trial. Like it would not have taken 2 days, and him being just in juvie, like he would have had like a probationary period of some kind.
No, not even that. But no, he would have. He may have been arrested. He may have been locked up, but it wouldn't have been in juvie yet. It would have been, just basically waiting for trial.
Yeah.
And, just there's so much wrong with it. Just, like...
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, like...
Everything
we could agree that it was bad. That it was just... Somebody cut corners.
If you don't know the judiciary system, don't write the judiciary system
into your story.
Exactly. And if you're, if you have to, then
do
look it up.
Yeah, because we
live
Google
is there.
Yeah. Even when the story was written, there was probably either the internet existed, obviously, or a library with books.
But yeah, there were search engines out there.
Yeah.
It's there has to have been, and just completely not.
Especially in like the last decade, there should have been. The person had. I mean, and like we're not like trying to beat down the author of this story, but like it's like if this was done in the last decade, there would have been ample opportunity to find the information you need to write your story, or to give some more information to your story. Mind you, maybe that wasn't the way how he was writing it. Maybe he just wanted to write this down. But this had gone through a couple of drafts,
exactly.
That would have been.
If he'd have handed this to someone else, that would have been caught. Even if it had been a friend. I mean, you don't have to get
an expert person,
professional. Yeah. I'm not saying you have to send it away to a publisher to get a proper feedback. No, if you hand it off to a friend who has a different knowledge base than you, you're gonna get okay, that's
kind of wrong.
That's just silly.
Yeah.
Change that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I hear you that it's really it. Honestly, this whole thing just smacks of a project rushed too far.
Yeah.
Or too much. But at the same time, I can't cut it slack for that.
Yeah. Fair.
Because the steps that were skipped were important.
Yeah.
And one step would have solved a lot of problems. So,
all right. So let's move on from the tirade, from this last tirade. So
you the one I keep going back to. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple of days pass. The birthday party thing. His parents are overdressed for this party that he doesn't know why. And then he goes upstairs and grabs the iconic Jeff the Killer outfit, which
isn't iconic to me.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Like the black pants, the white hoodie, and comes downstairs. His mom disapproves, but they're rushed, so they go across the road anyway. And it's a kiddies party, and apparently he's a little older than a kiddie. Or he's still a youth, but he's not. He's probably in his teens.
What he is he's probably, because when you're that young, 1 year is a big difference, right?
Fair
like
enough,
when I was in grade 6, I didn't I might have associated with a couple of people in grade 5, but only a couple, and only the ones that were mature.
Yeah. Because they're babies otherwise.
At 11, I was so much more mature than those 10-year-olds.
Exactly.
So it's probably, it could just be a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of really enjoyed that. It was a nice little fun read of that part, because I was picturing, he looks the same. He's a little bit taller than the rest of them, but
and they're all playing cowboys and whatnot.
And he's just thinking he's
I'm
too good for this. And
that's just what happens in the story.
It's just really funny for me. But regardless, yeah.
Yeah. They get to this party. They're playing in the backyard with at least
that's the front yard.
Oh, front yard. Okay, that's what.
Well,
for some
because
reason my mind went to the backyard.
What's coming up, I'm pretty sure it has to be the front yard.
Unless that, yeah. Okay, so. They're playing in the front yard. The birthday's going on, and then who shows up? But the 3 punks that had caused him all this misery, and this time they're toting guns. They switch.
Oh, they are packing heat.
Oh yeah.
See the tumbleweed, hear the little whistle.
And they hold this small birthday party hostage while their leader goes to beat the shit out of Jeff.
Yeah,
and then comes this huge round of combat with 3 punks versus this kid who then just suddenly snaps after being pummeled a little bit and just starts taking them out, and actually kills the first guy by punching him in the heart, and just punching him so hard that he apparently is blood spilling out of the punch wounds or whatever. And the other 2 are just looked in everybody looks in in horror of this, and then the 2 with the guns snap out of it and start shooting at Jeff. The whole fight ensues. Chemicals are splashed onto our future psycho, or current psycho, and he takes out the other 2 guys, but not before one of them throws a lighter on him and sets the chemicals and alcohol and whatnot that had happened from the battle on him, and setting him on fire. And then he goes down and wakes up in the hospital a couple of weeks, a week or so later, to find out that yes, he killed these 3 guys, but they all confessed to doing the thing before. So, hey, your brother's no longer
their actions.
Yeah, obviously, kind of damned them.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure there was some verbal exchange before the fisticuffs, and with all of the people present, it was. I mean, yeah,
stupid move, really, on my part. But then again, they're punk kids, so. But anyway, so he's wrapped in bandages, and his brother's now free from juvie because, that's how that works apparently. But he goes. They go to unwrap it after a couple of weeks of being in the hospital. They go to unwrap his face, and everyone is horrified of what he's become. The pale skin, the deep red lips from being burned, the singed black hair that was once brown, apparently no nose, according to the image, because this was all, this story did come with an image that, that preceded it, with this deranged, photoshopped face. And his eyes were black. His eyes, so...
He's got, yeah...
Oh
no, it's all, his face is all white. The skin's all white except for the lips, which are burned red.
Yeah.
Basically, he looks like the Joker, you know,
Before,
reproduced with the saw puppet, and Jeff the Killer was born.
Yeah. And he looks in a mirror to see himself, and again, he's gone loco, and is just happy. Like, he loves his new face, because it fits him now.
Yeah, he now looks like he feels, or some, you know, hippie BS.
And
my outsides match my soul.
And his mom is just talking to the doctor. He's like, "Is my son okay? In in the head?" And he's like, "Oh yes, it's perfectly normal for people to react this way after having such a change to their face and body. But if he still acts like this in a couple of weeks, bring him back and we'll have psychological value." I called bullshit on that. Like, if he's acting that way, they'd be doing
well. And with how brutal he was, you know, like, there's going to be
an investigation of some kind into that,
or
a psychological eval.
They're going to, There's more to the story than just what's on the face of it, and no one's that, you know, naive, like the cops, the adults in the that were
party,
present,
the doctor.
They're not that naive, and it's just, but I mean, you know, that, and like, okay, so the doctor knows what people are like after a transformation such as this. How many times does this happen in a week? Now, don't get me wrong, the circumstances of this transformation are pretty freaking basic.
Yeah.
And, as far as science goes, wrong. But let's just say that in the world of this story, that's the way it works. These events will give you
happens all the time.
This really must happen all the time, because it's so bloody
mundane.
Easy.
It's also so mundane to everybody. It's like, yeah.
So, you know, like, the fact that the doctor is kind of like, oh, yeah, this is typical response. I mean, like, okay, so this guy's completely normal. This is a thing that, you know, by the time someone turns 20, this has happened to them. It's basically guaranteed. Right? You know?
Totally.
That's kind of the tone I'm getting from the doctor there. Like, oh, yeah, I've seen this 1,000 times. They all do this.
What?
All right, groovy.
So they take him home. So they go to take him home. He gets his outfit back because apparently the hospital gave him cleaned it up from all the blood and whatnot and just handed it back to them.
And patched it up because it was set on fire.
Yeah. And he goes home and that night he's heard crying or moaning or something in the bathroom, and his mom goes to check it, and he's carved a smile into his face, a la the Joker from The Dark Knight. But
even just,
and it's like, it hurts to smile now. It's like, so now I can always smile forever. And then she goes to go grab the dad, and he's there at the door with the knife, and he just takes out his...
you were gonna shoot me!
You're lying, Mommy! And then just kills them, offs his parents, and then his brother wakes up to him being right there, and he just stabs him and tells him the iconic Jeff the Killer phrase, "Go to sleep." And then the story ends.
Yeah.
Now, after reading this story, would you believe it's one of the more popular creepypastas out there?
I can't. Like, even if
the character, at least,
even
the character himself is one of the more popular. There's so much fan art, so much fan fiction, and there's other stories than this one out there for Jeff the Killer. Interacting with other creepypasta characters too, even, which we'll get to at a later show. And Yeah, like he's I think in the top 10 list of the top creepypastas.
You know what? I've seen the image, so I've seen the picture that I must have inspired this but honestly, it's a neat image.
It's certainly creepy, and I've seen other ones.
Maybe.
Well, depends on maybe your age or how unjaded you are from life.
Maybe, but yeah, it's just such a badly written story. Like it's a neat,
it's a first draft, like in terms of its like content or in terms of its wording and writing and whatnot.
Writing.
Like there's they have like past tense, present tense, like mixed in at some points. I know I heard
one sentence.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, that did actually kind of that was actually one of the times that actually irked me like to read it. It was just like
Yeah, it's just it's not well written. It's kind of a neat idea. It's an idea that I've seen done, lots of times, way better. But, it is kind of fun. It does handle that idea well, but its information is all completely just no research, horribly done, just no concept of judiciary system, the way people behave, there are lots of adults in this, but there is no one with an adult thought process.
Yeah.
Everyone is thinking like that little kid that comes up to Jeff and says, "Will you play with us, please?" They're all thinking like that. Like, from the kids to the,
it's almost like
to
a cartoon
Jeff and his
to a
brother, to the adults. They're all thinking like that little kid, "Will you play with us, please?" And just... yeah, so, there's no knowledge. Like I say, I gotta keep harping on this because it's just slap you in the face bad. No knowledge of the judiciary system. No knowledge of human thought process. No knowledge of chemistry.
Yeah.
Because, this is where, the story was written to fit the image. The whole physical transformation. It's all written so blatantly, okay, he's got white face, so we'll include bleach, and, we'll have fire and whatnot. It's, just horribly bad.
Yeah.
And, I am no expert in either biology or chemistry, but I guarantee you this is not how it works. In open, subjected to open flame, hair burns real quick.
Yeah.
It doesn't change color.
No.
Bleach poured on you, and then, alcohol set afire. I genuinely have never tried this, but I'm pretty sure the bleach isn't flammable, and it would dilute the alcohol to the point where it wouldn't be flammable.
Because the vodka was on first, and then the bleach fell on them.
Yeah, but then the fire was added, and there was a conflagration.
Yeah, that's right.
So you've got a bleach-alcohol combination, mixture. What alcohol is still on him?
Yeah.
Mixture, and I'm pretty sure the bleach would dilute the alcohol to the point where the alcohol would just snuff out the flame. It wouldn't actually catch. Again, haven't actually tried it, but just see, I'm pretty sure that's more or less how it would go. And then we've got, the lips burning red. Okay. Burns can, turn flesh red. It's a first-degree burn. It's the least serious burn. It heals pretty damn quickly.
Yeah.
As in, it would have been healed before the bandages came off. This one I actually have a better idea for, because he carves out his face. So the red lips could just be unhealed wound.
Yeah.
Like, it's all still wet and, not, like, gushing, but...
It's not healed.
Yeah. That would have been a way better one, but, again, it's being written by someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. And if you can't write what you know, then write something else.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm done. I think I've covered everything I really, really needed to.
To the audience, you can't tell, but Dr. Leviathan is very, he's been sitting on this for a while.
Well, I mean, this is, week 3 of doing this, and I read this story before we
Started
recorded
recording.
episode 1, so... Yeah, it's been bothering me the entire time. And... some people might think, well, you're kind of overreacting. All I have to say to that is, whenever anything treats me like I'm a moron, I get angry. Because I'm really quite brilliant. So if you treat me like I'm stupid, like this story does, you get my hackles up, and I'm gonna come at it.
Fair enough. Does it feel good to get that off your chest?
Sort of, because I was really hard on something that actually has redeeming qualities, and I hope I actually have, mentioned the fact that there are redeeming qualities and what they are and where they are. Just, the
problems with the story are a little bit more loud.
They wholly overshadow it. Just completely. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just. Yeah, problems with this story are really big, and like I say, you tell me that this thing is really popular.
Yeah, across the internet.
It has nothing to do with the story. It has everything to do with the image.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think the story is famous. I think the
Jeff
image is famous.
Yeah, Jeff.
Not even the character, because the character is shit in this. Again, because it's poorly written.
Yeah.
Because it was written hastily and didn't go through the full process.
I don't mean the character as in, like the written part of the character. I mean the image of Jeff as a serial killer or a psycho. I think that is more popular than the story itself.
I think Jeff... Sorry, I just had an epiphany right here. I think Jeff is Darth Maul. You've seen episode 1, we all have. Darth Maul doesn't really get a lot. He's got, very minimal lines. Yeah. He's a good fighter, decent fighter, completely decent. But he looks so awesome.
They kept trying to bring him back.
He gets built up into this huge thing, and I genuinely think that that's what happened to Jeff. Jeff was accompanied with it, this story was accompanied by an image. People enjoyed the image. And
yeah, because I remember seeing the image when I was first. I think I saw this maybe a couple of years ago back, a ways back, when I first got into CreepyPasta, and I remember, before I started actually reading CreepyPasta, I remember the image, and I remember it kind of creeping me out initially, and so it was kind of the next website. But as I once I read the story and stuff like that, it kind of the image's creepiness kind of went away. But it's still kind of a cool image.
It is a cool image. It's kind of neat.
There's other ones too out there that try to emulate what Jeff looks like, and they look a little bit more horrendous, a little bit more terrifying to me. This one kind of looks comical nowadays, based off, after what I've seen out there. But yeah, that it is the iconic. It's what you see on I've seen CreepyPasta demotivator posters where it's just that image. It's CreepyPasta, because I didn't need to sleep anyway.
Yeah,
and it's always that image.
Yeah, and you see that just proves my point that this story isn't popular, the image is.
Yeah.
The idea is, well, not even the idea, just, the fact that there's some deranged lunatic out there that looks like this.
Yeah.
That has become popular.
And you could wake up in the middle of the night, and he'd be there with the knife, and he's like, go to sleep, and then kill you.
Yeah. I don't know.
But just to see that face, like, in the middle of the night would be terrifying. It's the kind of thing with slasher. It's a slasher kind of.
Yeah.
It's like a slasher flick.
If you ignore the fact that any face there would be in that situation would be terrifying. Like my girlfriend has a very pinchable cheek face, and she's terrified me by me waking up and her being like not right there, but just in my field of view, and yeah. Gives me a start. Why? Because I just woke up.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's a creepy image. To me, it's still outdone by, like, Michael Myers or countless others, but... Because, honestly, I look at it, I see Jigsaw, Puppet, and Joker... And honestly, I see those two having sex, and that's just creepy. Like, not creepy, like, scary, creepy, just like...
Creepy as it, ugh.
Creepy,
like, do not watch, do not
grandma
touch.
in the bath.
Oh. Okay. With that delightful image in your head, audience, do you have anything else to say about this? Because I read it, or reread it, and I haven't said a whole lot in this game, but for me, there really isn't a whole lot to say that you haven't said.
In parting, I honestly want to say sorry to the author, because this was written by a child. I mean, probably a teenager, but a child, nonetheless.
A youth.
Someone who doesn't know things, who, just someone who, out of ignorance... made a lot of mistakes, and that's what it is. It's out of ignorance. They actually had a decent idea,
that was just not implemented well.
The thing, like, I'm okay with ignorance to a point. Like I said, this is probably a child, like a youth. So I can excuse your ignorance. Just I hope that they kept with it, and I hope that they've, become more educated with, putting together a story. I was really hard because I was.
Yeah.
But
well, it is one of the reasons I thought of bringing you on to the idea for the show and stuff, is because you know a lot more about literary work, so about how to that kind of stuff, and I would not be able to articulate that kind of stuff as much as you would be able to.
Well, and I like to think that I know where, at least in this one, I know where it went wrong.
Yeah.
And it's a neat idea. It's just poorly executed, and it's only poorly executed out of ignorance. The bits inside Jeff's head are actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. This is me. I'm not trying to backpedal, I'm just trying to be honest. And I haven't necessarily focused much on the good points. But, the parts in Jeff's head are good. I actually genuinely appreciated the fact that the killer was always there. It just, wasn't allowed to come out.
Yeah.
A lot of stories, a lot of people would have treated that completely different, like, it was just a little thing, like one line that said that the killer was always there. Most people wouldn't have thought to write it, so... Like I say, it shows promise. It also shows where the author was lacking.
Yeah. All right. Yep. So with that, I really don't have a whole lot of others to say because everything that's been said has really been said for it. Would you recommend somebody to read it?
No.
No.
I
There are other. I did actually read one of the I want to say sequels or spin-offs for it,
and I'm
it's
sure
it's a lot better.
I'm sure most of them are better written. This is poorly written, and on that merit alone, I just can't recommend it to anyone. I mean, if you're curious to see where it all started,
listen to Creepy.
Just look at the image.
Yeah.
Because that's honestly where it all started.
Okay.
And,
yeah.
Save yourself some anger.
Even after we told people, oh yeah, at the beginning of this, if you don't know what Jeff the Killer is, go to the website, or go to Mr. CreepyPasta on the YouTube channel. Because it is actually...
you told them to go read it.
That's true, yeah.
I'm just the one who's now like, you know what? You shouldn't have.
My bad. But yeah, so if you have comments about it, if you think we're wrong, if you think we're right, if you have anything to say to us, you can comment below wherever this is posted, or you can email us at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com, which is aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. And also, if you're feeling like suggesting a creepypasta that that you'd like us to discuss or talk about and read,
even if we don't do it here, I'll probably just read it because I'm still trying to delve into these.
Exactly. Yeah, we have fresh meat for the grinder. And actually,
my grey matter shall never be referred to as meat for the grinder ever again.
Fair enough. And there's ones that there are popular ones that I haven't read yet. So I'm still there's actually one that we will probably do eventually called Jane the Killer, which I believe did spawn out of the wake of Jeff the Killer, but I'm not 100% sure on that. We will figure that out at a later date. So until next time, I'm your host, Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.